Kittl has just released a major update and it's now become a lot easier to use for us print-on-demand sellers. And in this video, I'm going to cover all of the new features, including, for example, that they now allow you to generate graphics and text with Flux, which has been built into their AI ad generator. They also have a new AI image restyling feature. There's some new vector tools. You can do real-time collaboration on projects. They've added a ton of professional new fonts as well as really good looking mockups. And there's something called full brand kits, which can actually be really handy for consistent t-shirt design styles as well, as you're going to see at the end of the video. So the first thing that's actually changed within Kittl is the UI, the user interface, not just on the dashboard right here, but also as you're going to see afterwards in the actual project files whilst you're designing. So now when you log into your Kittl account, you have this home tab right here, and it shows you recent projects, then trending templates, the different tools that Kittl has. If you want the kind of old screen with all of the template selections, you click right here on the left hand side, and then you're back to this where you can filter through different categories or click on t-shirts down here, and then you get all of their t-shirt templates. So that's a tiny change right here in terms of the dashboard. If I actually open up a design file right here, you can see that the layout has become a lot cleaner. You don't have as many boxes that are kind of showing up at every corner, and you can kind of focus on the entire design process right here a lot better. If you click on different things, you'll have stuff pop up on the sides right here depending on what you have selected, and you do also have this little kind of extra bar right here that has some actions hidden behind it, but in general it's a lot cleaner. The tabs on the left hand side are still there, so if you wanted to open up the text panel right here or the elements tab, then you can still access them. Kittl AI is still at the bottom. We've got the layers panel right here, which is moved now from the right hand side, but overall it's just a lot cleaner and easier to navigate. By the way, there will be a link in the description where you can sign up to Kittl for free, and I'll have a custom discount code down there as well. So first of all, let me show you the new way that you can now generate graphics with AI, which you can find if you just click on Kittl AI on the left hand side right here. And in the advanced tab, we've got at the moment DALL-E 3 selected. So this is how you've known it so far with the different clip art style presets right here that I've discussed on my channel, the vector styles and so on. But at the top where it says DALL-E 3, you can now click on this drop down and change this to Flux 1.1 Pro. It says great for photography right here as the kind of prompt or description, which it is. It's definitely better than DALL-E 3, at least in my opinion, for photography, but this is also really good for some kind of styles with print on demand, and it's a lot better at generating text than DALL-E 3 is. The image styles right here are currently just set for photography, but that's not an issue because you don't have to use a preset style. You can also save your own styles if you want to. I've discussed that in one of my previous Kittl videos, or you can just describe the image plainly up here. So let me quickly type in a prompt right here. So I've got a cartoon baby raccoon eating an ice cream with a bold script font. By the way, if this box is too small for you, you can also drag out this panel on the side, then you've got a lot more space to work with. Bold script font saying summer vibes underneath. I'll also put isolated background right here because I don't have a style that I'm going to select. I'll just hit generate image plainly. So there we go. I think that's a pretty good result, and it definitely looks a little bit different than the DALL-E 3 style. However, very useful for t-shirt design, especially considering I didn't use any preset styles right here. I just hit generate with a fairly simple prompt. Also notice how on the left hand side, you now get this more in this style feature where you've got a bunch of other raccoon graphics that you can quickly access if you're not happy with your result. And these all come in different styles as well. So if you like any of them, you just click on this and it will open it up on your artboard. So you've got a lot of choice and variety in this same kind of topic or for the same subject that you're trying to create. So now what I quickly wanted to do as well is just compare that same prompt with DALL-E 3 right here. I want to select a style and I'll just hit generate just to compare the two. And here we are. That is definitely extremely different, not just in the style, but also in the way the text looks up here. Summer vibes, definitely a lot, not hard to read, but it doesn't really look as good as Flux makes it look. Flux is definitely really, really good when it comes to making text look really good and choosing font styles that look amazing. So the next feature I want to show you is the image restyle, which you can also find in the Kittl AI tab. It's the third one down. You either need to upload an image right here or select one from your canvas. So I'm going to start off with this kind of Japanese poster. You've got a lot of community styles right here that you can select if you want to regenerate this image or refresh it in one of these pre-existing styles, or you can just type in a prompt right here. You've also got a strength selector of how much you want this new style to be applied. We'll just leave that at medium, and let's tell it here, right here, we want this to look more like a vintage distressed poster instead, to make it look a little less colorful and vibrant. I'll hit generate down here, and then we're also going to do this with this very simplistic t-shirt design and some bold text for Easter, just to kind of demonstrate what you can do with this new feature. And there we go, that's done. For the cat, I think that's actually pretty cool. It's made it look a lot more brown. The subject and the kind of composition is all very similar. It's just made it look more vintage. It's even kept the text intact. It still says ramen. Some of the details, like in the bowl, I think actually look a little nicer than they do on the left. So that's a great result for this kind of poster style illustration up here. Let's move on to this simplistic t-shirt design. Go back right here, and then I'm going to say we want this kind of floral groovy themes. Okay, and I'll hit generate. So that definitely looks a lot more floral and groovy themed than the original. The cat still has the same pose and the text layout is the same. The only unfortunate thing is that we have some flowers in the background right here, which makes it harder to use for t-shirts at least. So this definitely seems to be a bit more optimized for full images, for posters, photography, that kind of thing. But you can probably play around with adding something to the prompt right here that keeps the graphic isolated on a plain background. And for the last example right here, I selected this image of a text design, Brat, it's Easter, and I just typed in pastel Easter style, and this is what we got at the bottom. A little bit of a 3D text design with pastel Easter colors right there, and a bit of a pattern as well in some of the letters. So there you go, that's a few examples of kind of different style graphics and how they turn out with this image restyling feature. Definitely handy if you've got a design and you want to kind of replicate it very similarly in some different styles to test out which one of them works best. Next up, let me show you the new kind of vector tools. They're found at the bottom. They're called shape tools actually right here. And these are all vectors that you're drawing out, and you can customize them quite a bit, as you're going to see in a second here. Just a couple of tips with the new UI. So if you're looking for the artboard tool, which used to be at the top, that is now down here as well. So if you want to draw out a new artboard, you can do it like so. The shortcut for that is A, by the way, if you want to quickly select it from anywhere. And speaking of shortcuts, you might also wondering where they've moved. Well, you just have to click on this little help symbol down here, and then you can click on shortcuts to bring this back up in case you want to remember how to do any of these. And yeah, let's move on to these shape tools. So previously, if you wanted to get a rectangle type of shape, you would have to go to elements right here, go into basic shapes and find something in here. Now you can just always use the shape tools and draw something out quite custom. So if you click on rectangle, zoom in a little bit right here, you can now click and drag and create a custom shape like this very easily, which is also handy for lines to break up your text-based designs. For example, you can very easily create stuff like this with the rectangle tool. Then you've obviously got a circle, you've got polygon, star, and actually let's start out with a star right here, because if I draw one out, you can see that the shape is very kind of wonky. If you don't hold down shift on your keyboard, shift is going to keep it in the right proportions. And what you can do now as well with the shapes that you create right here is you can further customize the corner. So the corner rounding thing, that's already been there before, I've discussed that, but you can also actually, in case you didn't know, over here you can now change the amount of corners or points in your shape. So now this looks completely different. And also if we keep on changing the radius right here, you can create some really cool custom shapes with this, with all of these. By the way, you can do that with the triangle as well. So I could change this to 7 corners, for example, or let's do something really high like 20, and then again you've got the radius function, which actually here you can't see because there's too many corners. Let's do 5 perhaps. Yeah, that makes more sense. There we go. So yeah, a lot of customizability. You can create some cool custom shapes, and if you hold down Alt on your keyboard, by the way, you can do this to just one corner at a time, whilst all of the other ones stay the same. So this is how you can get even more custom. I don't really know what that shape's supposed to be, but it's just a quick demonstration of how to use these new tools right here that are always easily accessible at the bottom. And it's one step closer to actual like complete vector editing, with having like the nodes right here, the anchor points where you can change the direction, which is coming very soon as far as I've heard. Another really handy vector editing feature that Kittl added is what they call the shape builder. So if I want wanted to create a moon here, for example, I can duplicate this circle. I can recolor it right here to make this easier to see. And now this black shape looks like a moon. And if I highlight both shapes, the shape builder pops up right here on the right-hand side. We've got 4 different options. In this case, I need to subtract the white shape from the black, and there we go. Now we've got a completely new vector shape right here. Alternatively, you could also do union, which combines all the shapes that are overlapping. Intersection is whatever is in the middle in between them, and then the very right function right here is the inverse of that. Exclude intersection will give you the outer shapes like that. So definitely a cool way to quickly combine lots of shapes and create some custom new vector elements. Another kind of handy way you might be able to use this for t-shirts would be if we've got a fairly big circle and a smaller circle, we could then cut out one from another with subtract, and then you could use the text functionality and the transform feature within Kittl to have some text across the top and the bottom right here, and then a graphic in the middle. Now, whilst we're talking about this bar right here at the bottom, you might have noticed the speech bubble. If you click on this, you can actually leave comments anywhere on your design. And this is really handy for those of you who work together with designers. So if you've got someone who's in Kittl who's creating t-shirt designs for you, for example, and you quickly want to leave them a comment, you can then click on this right here and say, for example, I want more mushrooms. More. This is all part of their new live collaboration feature as well, because you need to actually invite another person to the project for this to work. So your designer that's using Kittl will have to invite you to this. And you do that up here. So we've got my profile picture right here. And if we click on plus, you can invite someone via a link, and you can select whether they can only view the project or edit the project as well. So if they can only view, they can leave some comments and stuff like that. But if you say edit, then they can also make changes on the designs, and you can even be in there together at the same time editing individual parts of the project, which is really cool. At the top right here, you can also say anyone with the link can view this, and then you get this copy link button. That way you get around the part where you invite someone via an email. You can just quickly copy the link, send it over, and then they can work on it straight away. If you want it to be more private, then leave this setting on, and only the people that you invite via an actual email right here, if you click send project, those are the only people that will be able to log in and edit the file or view it and leave comments, respond to things. Because now, even if I'm just with this normal move tool right here, I can zoom around, I can see, oh, someone commented right there, and you can leave a reply. You've also got extra functions right here to resolve the comments. So if you're done with that section, then it kind of gets ticked off and so on. So definitely really handy to work together with multiple people on the same project, give feedback, and have an easier time getting to the end goal. Now, another really handy feature is that we have these rulers on the left-hand side and across the top, which they don't just help with kind of measuring out things. As you can see right here, it always highlights the dimensions of whatever you have selected, but you can also click onto any of these rulers and then drag across a guideline. And this will be really, really handy for more easily aligning things within your design and making it look more professional, more cohesive. So if I line this up with this text at the bottom right here, for example, we can now easily snap different elements to this guide. For example, this bike, move it over, there we go, it snaps to a new guideline, and we should probably actually draw one out for the other side as well right here, and then we can make sure this bike is kind of sized in the same way, and also line up this word. We can draw out, this is too big, for example, you can see that quite quickly, so we can resize this and align it right here. There we go. I think if script fonts overlap a little bit like that, it's not a problem. Visually it still looks good. What you can also do is you can drag down the guide from the top right here. So if we wanted to kind of double check the stars right here at the bottom and how they line up with the text, you can do that as well. The stars are looking good, but this text might be better if it is aligned to the bottom of these star symbols right here. So definitely really handy features. And once you're done with the guides and you want to get rid of them, you can still click on these, you can move them around, you can hit delete on your keyboard and get rid of them very quickly like that. And there we go. Now we've got a way cleaner and better looking layout with this design. That's something that was definitely a lot more difficult beforehand. Another new feature within Kittl is that you can download objects individually. So for example, if you only wanted to save these stars right here out of this entire design, then just click on the stars and then click download selection. You've got different formats right here for PNG, JPEG, SVG if you want it as a vector as well. And this can be handy if you've got a kind of fully fleshed out design like this one, but you also like different aspects of it. For example, these two elements work really well on their own as well, without the additional text. So what you can do instead of creating a whole new artboard is you just select both of them with your shift key on your keyboard, and then again, download selection, you can save it as a PNG. You've got the size slider right here to have a bigger size, or you save it as a vector if that's what you work with. And yeah, that's definitely really handy. On top of that, you can also individually change your color schemes. Previously, if you wanted to change the color palette right here, it would affect the entire artboard. Actually, most, if not all of the artboards within your project file were affected. Now you can select just one artboard, go to either color selection at the bottom right here, browse color palette, or you've also got it pop up in this bar at the top right here, and then you can browse through, and now it will only affect this artboard. Or you can do it just for one graphic within your design. So if I select the palm trees right here again, go to browse color palettes, then it is only going to change the color in that very aspect of the design. The rest right here, like the stars, the background, the text, etc., is not affected, which is definitely really cool, because beforehand you couldn't really isolate just one individual part for changing colors more quickly. What's also pretty neat is that Kittl's now added a ton of really professional, prestigious fonts to the library as well, which you can usually not access very easily. The font licensing is quite expensive for these, and you can find them all by heading to your typefaces and typing in Monotype right here. Then they'll all be filtered out, and you might recognize some of these if you've watched The Future before, the YouTube channel. For example, we've got Bedoni right here. There is Cooper Black. This one works quite well for t-shirts, in my opinion. We've got Futura. Let me just demonstrate that, because it's a pretty cool looking font, and it's variable as well. So if we click on this setting right here to change the boldness of the font, you actually get sliders for the weight. You can customize this to have it extremely thin, extremely bold. You can also, with that, change the width of the font. So highly customizable fonts right here. Pretty cool to play around with. And yeah, some of these are actually going to be really handy for t-shirt design. Also, let me just scroll through a little bit further right here. There's also Helvetica and a bunch of other fonts that are all pretty cool. So there we go. That's some additions to the font library, which is definitely always fun to see. Let me also show you the mockups that have been added to Kittl. There's a ton of new ones, especially for t-shirts. So you can now access them if you click on your artboard and then head over to the right hand side and click on mockup right here. Now by default, this is actually quite small, this sidebar right here. You can scroll down to t-shirts and click on show all, but this way you only see one at a time. So I'd recommend actually dragging this out and getting up to whereabouts the mockup starts, like right here. And now you can actually scroll down and realize there's a ton of new stuff right here. Lots and lots of lifestyle mockups, but there's also a bunch of flat lay, and then once it opens up, you can resize your design right here. You can also change, as usual, the mockup color on the right hand side. Let me just show you how much new stuff there is. You've got different sceneries, you've got close-ups. This looks like an AI generated mockup, but they've added a lot of real photography as well. From what I've heard, they actually went out in Berlin, where the Kittl headquarters are, and did a photo shoot for this. So there's a ton of new stuff right here. Definitely have a browse around if you use mockups a lot, and I'm sure you find some really neat looking ones with different themes to help fit your niche or be more applicable to whatever niche you're trying to create mockups or designs for. Now, another interesting addition is their brand kits. Now you can find these in the templates section. You can click on branding and then select brand kits right here, and you'll get a bunch of options. Now, at first glance, these don't actually look like something you would want to use in a t-shirt, but I've found that some of the best ones right here for t-shirt design are actually made by Kittl. You can see how these are made by different people. What you can actually do is type in Kittl right here at the top, and then we'll just click on the Kittl profile pic, and then some of the ones right here at the top right now are super good. For example, the Great Adventure, if I click on this and hit use design, it usually takes a while to load up because these have a lot of graphics and preset things in these project files. As you can see, there's a bunch of different artboards right here. And if I zoom in, we've got different fonts that work very well together with examples of font pairing as well. That is super handy and something a lot of people struggle with. We've got banners and badges right here. Perfect. These all look really amazing. They all look very similar as well in terms of their style and their feel. So you can mix and match these together to create nicer designs. We've got nature and landscapes. So if you need some nature elements to help silhouettes or to help decorate your designs, we've got got gear and activities, animals. As you can see, there's so much. Catchwords, this is also interesting. So if you want to just highlight a certain word in a different style, and like common words that get used to connect phrases, you can use some of these right here. Super cool. Textures at the bottom, different textures you can use in these designs. And I missed some stuff at the top. This is more like examples where you've actually got some finished designs put together. But again, you can use these, delete certain elements, change text if you want to. These are kind of like pre-made layouts that you already have as examples, as inspiration, and as templates. So these brand kits definitely really cool, and especially this one right here is one of my favorites, and it can be super handy to make your designs feel more kind of cohesive, coherent within the same style. Like if I imagine I wanted to make 20, 30 hunting designs, for example, this would be a perfect kit to start doing that. And a quick bonus tip, if you want to read up more about some of these updates, you can also go to the blog on the left hand side in the community section, and then if you scroll down, you've got a lot of articles about some of the new features right here. So we've got image restyle, and you can click into this and then you can read up more about it with some examples. There's also one right here about Flux 1.1 Pro, the refined UI right here, rulers, grids, all that stuff. And as you can see, advanced vector editing says coming soon, which is exciting. This screenshot right here looks super nice. It's definitely something that I've been hoping for in Kittl for a while. And we've got the real-time collaboration right here. If that's something that you're into, you want to learn even more about, then you can click into this and read more about it. So blog section, also really useful. Hope this helps you out and hope you learn some new stuff that'll help you improve your workflow and get better designs. And by the way, I do know some people at Kittl, and they're very open to feedback, whether it is about these updates or some features that you're still missing, you still want to see. So leave your feedback in the comments. They'll probably read it, and it might impact the way that Kittl is going to keep evolving in the future. For some additional Kittl workflow tips and a few hidden tricks that are not as easy to find, make sure to check out this tutorial next.